Hello, Dark Reader, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and with me is Creepy Carrie.
Hi.
So today we are going to present to you all the new dark reads that are coming out for adults in August of 2023. We're very excited, and I think we've got a fairly comprehensive list. I hope we do. We keep finding more things, so hopefully we'll have another episode to fill you in on more dark reads later. But for now, Carrie, why don't you start us off?
Well, I wanted to start by saying, if you find these books interesting, be sure to check our show notes for the Amazon affiliate link to purchase them. But also, we have not read any of these books yet, because they're not out yet. And we're not the type of big book podcasters that get sent free books yet. Hint, hint. So we're just chatting with you about books we're excited about. So my first of today is called Big Little Spells. It's part of the Witchlore series, Book 2 by Hazel, Beck. It comes out at the end of the month, August 29. So here's what happens. Rebecca Wilde was 18 when she left St. Cyprian. She was officially stripped of her magic, that's rude, and banished from her home. So 10 years later, she's forced to return to face the Joywood Coven, they don't sound very joyful, who preside over not just her hometown, but the whole magical world. She's happy to reunite with her sister and her friends, but the implications of her return are darker and more dangerous than they could have imagined. So I think you probably need to read book 1 of the series to understand what's going on first. That was Small Town Big Magic, and now this is Big Little Spells, and it's a nice little soft entry as we're getting ready for fall, and it's 92 degrees at my house today. Luckily, have air conditioning, but I'm looking forward to fall because this heat has been too much. So this will be a nice little way to sip on some iced tea, pretend that it's a rainy day, and I'm drinking hot tea and reading Big Little Spells by Hazel, Beck.
My first book is also a witchy book. It's an anthology, actually. It is the Book of Witches. It comes out August 1st. And it says it's by Jonathan Strahan, but there's a lot of different contributors like Garth Nix. We have Darcy Little Badger, Cherie, Renee Thomas, lots of different people. And it's a 500 pages hardcover. It's about $40 right now on Amazon, and it's published by Harper Voyager. So I was thinking it was a YA book, but I guess it is for adults. So it says, witches! Whether you know them from Shakespeare or from the play Wicked, there's no staple more beloved in folktale, fairy tale, or fantasy than these magical beings. Witches are everywhere and at the heart of stories that resonate with many people around the world. This dazzling, otherworldly collection gathers new stories of witches from all walks of life, ensuring a Halloween readers will never forget. Yay! It's finally happening! So they can be maidens, mothers, crones, or something totally otherly. They're also funny, fierce, light and airy, or very dark and disturbing. Witches are a vital part of some of the greatest stories we have, and there's some new witches that are going to be started here in the Book of Witches. This is an anthology. I highly recommend it. It's published by Harper Voyager by Jonathan Strahan and so many other authors.
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm going to grab that.
Yeah, it does say, by the way, it does say that it is illustrated too, so I'm wondering if we get a cool illustration in the beginning, so that'll be awesome.
My next book is The Bonus Room, a novel by Ben H. Winters. It's from Quirk Books, and I generally do really enjoy the books that Quirk has published and spearheaded. So in this book, Susan and Alex have found their dream apartment in a gorgeous Brooklyn brownstone. Sure, the landlady's a little eccentric, aren't we all? And the elderly handyman drops some cryptic remarks about the basement, as you do. But the rent is so low, it's too good to pass up. Big mistake! Susan awakens every morning with fresh bug bites, but neither Alex nor their daughter Emma has a single welt. It's just her. So she has an exterminator search the property and they don't turn up anything. The landlady is insisting that her building is clean. Susan fears that she's going mad until she makes a chilling discovery in the titular Bonus Room. It's a horrifying tale of a dream home that becomes a nightmare. This was previously published in 2011, and back then the name was Bedbugs.
Oh, no.
So, I'm not sure this is number 1 on my pickup list. But it is The Bonus Room, a novel by Ben H. Winters from Quirk Books. Comes out August 1st.
My next book is Bride of the Tornado. This is by James Kennedy, and it comes out August 15th. Also published by Quirk Books. This is kind of a tornado book. So it's a young woman's secretive Midwestern town is engulfed by a mysterious plague of tornadoes every generation, and she escape it before it claims her.
Are there sharks? I'm hoping you say no.
You know what? Let's find out. So in a small town, tucked away in the Midwestern cornfields, the adults whisper about Tornado Day. Our narrator, a high school sophomore, has never heard this phrase, but she soon discovers its terrible meaning. A plague of sentient tornadoes is coming to destroy them.
How is that even possible?
Maybe the ghosts just get stuck. It's like the whole world has different whirlpools and they just get stuck, all the ghosts. I don't know. Okay, so the only thing that stands between the town and total annihilation is a teen boy known as the Tornado Killer.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I feel you. Drawn to this enigmatic boy, our narrator senses an unnatural connection between them. But the adults are hiding a secret about the origins of the tornadoes and the true nature of the Tornado Killer. And our narrator must escape before the primeval power that binds them all comes to claim her. This sounds interesting. Apparently, it's a combination of like Stephen King's The Mist meets David Litch's The Twin Peaks. So yes, I can see that. It's very obscure. It's a mind-bending horror thriller. It is Bride of the Tornado by James Kennedy.
So does she like get a wedding ring or did they get engaged? I mean, how does this work?
I kind of feel like the Tornado Killer is the tornado. I don't know. I don't know.
So going back to a more serious book, I'm going to read 2 books in a row because we got alphabetical problems. Anyway, I'm going to hog the microphone for 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good.
The first book is Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine. Comes out August 1st. It is from Sourcebooks Landmark, a very reputable publisher. It's described as The Push meets The Silent Patient. It's a gripping thriller that follows a woman who's convinced a sinister figure is going to great lengths to make sure her pregnancy never happens. And the men in her life, as always, refuse to believe a word she says.
Surprise!
So this is interesting because normally a sinister figure is trying to put their baby in you, especially if they're the devil. So Anna Alcott is desperate to have a family. She has a public life as an indie actress, and she has a grueling IVF journey to try and get pregnant. But she's suspecting someone's trying to make sure that never happens. Crucial medicines are lost, appointments get swapped without her knowledge, cryptic warnings have her jumping at shadows. And not even her own husband is willing to believe that someone's playing twisted games with her. Then, her doctor tells her she's had a miscarriage, except Anna is convinced she's still pregnant.
Oh.
She can feel the baby moving inside her. And someone starts stalking her through the bleak ghost town of the snowy Hamptons. Her symptoms and sense of danger are growing more horrifying, and she can't help but wonder what exactly she's carrying inside of her, and why no one will listen when she says something is horribly, painfully wrong. Ah!
Oh my God.
I would say if you listeners are trying to get pregnant this season or next, don't read this book.
Yes.
But the rest of us can be like, ooh, deliciously squicked out by reading it, and I am a little bit tempted. It's Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine. It comes out tomorrow, August 1st. My next book, as Katie's quietly pausing and going, remember that you were going to talk.
No, you're good.
The next book is Fever House, a novel by Keith Rosson. It comes out August 15. There's a dude who's known as a leg breaker. His name is Hutch Holtz, which is a stupid name. Sorry. He rolls up to a rundown apartment complex in Portland, Oregon, to collect overdue drug money. The last thing he thought he was going to find stashed in the client's refrigerator is a severed hand. He quickly realizes that the hand induces uncontrollable madness. I'm not kidding, you guys. I'm just reading what the publisher said.
Oh.
Random House is the publisher. What? Okay. So anyone in the proximity of this disgusting severed hand from the refrigerator is overcome with a boundless compulsion for violence.
Oh.
Within hours, catastrophic forces are set into motion because this one dude couldn't just keep the fridge shut. Dark op government agents who have been desperately hunting for the hand are on Hutch's tail. Well, he doesn't actually have a tail, but you know what I mean. More of the city's residents are falling under its brutal influence, and suddenly all of Portland stands at the precipice of disaster. Enter Catherine Moriarty, a singer whose sudden fame and precipitous downfall were followed by the mysterious death of her estranged husband, suicide allegedly. Her trauma has made her agoraphobic, and so she has to kind of stay in her apartment. Her son Nick has moved home to care for her, and he's quietly making his living working for Hutch's boss. So when Hutch calls Nick in distress talking about this creepy hand, he's looking for someone else to come pick up the hand. Catherine and Nick are plunged into a global struggle that will decimate the walls of the life they've built. Mother and son must evade crazed, bloodthirsty masses and deceitful government agents.
What?
And they might hold the very key to humanity's survival. And the last sentence, I can barely read this. It says, "Can you resist the hand?" So that is Fever House, a novel by Keith Rosson, and I gotta see what else he's written, because why would Random House publish this? I don't know.
Fever dream. Holy.
His other books are Smoke City, The Mercy of the Tide, Folk Songs for Trauma Surgeons, and Road 7.
I feel like I've heard about one of those, the physician one, but wow, that was a lot, Carrie. I thought you were going to be done halfway.
Please tell me you have a really good book to talk about next.
Oh, I hope so. It sounds cool to me. Well, I'm only seeing just like the first part of it. It says, a chilling domestic story of terror for fans of Black Mirror and the Amityville Horror. So already to a good start. This is called The Handyman Method. This is by Nick Cutter and Andrew F. Sullivan. So 2 people. Interesting. This is 304 pages. So when a young family moves into an unfinished development community, cracks begin to emerge in both their new residence and their lives as a mysterious online DIY instructor delivers dark subliminal suggestions about how to handle any problem around the house. The trials of home improvement, destructive insecurities, and haunted house horror all collide in this thrilling story perfect for fans of Nick Cutter's bestsellers, The Troop and the Deep. He really likes the something. So, I mean, it's such a short little blurb. The cover is really cool. I'll be sure to put this over on our YouTube channel so you can at least see it. I might pick it up. A lot of people have been anticipating it, but again, I'm not sure. So this is called The Handyman Method, a story of terror by Nick Cutter and Andrew F. Sullivan.
My next book, I promise you I am super looking forward to. It's The Invisible Hour by Alice Hoffman.
Ooh.
And of course, you remember that she wrote Practical Magic and several books in that universe that she built. So I actually had an advanced reader's copy of the digital, part of this book, but I've been traveling and moving, and my digital copy expired 30 days after I got it, and I was in the car hours at a time, but I didn't have it downloaded to listen to. So I got to read the first 3 chapters of The Invisible Hour, and I was so enjoying it, and I wanted to find out what's happening next. Not that it's a suspenseful page-turner, but I love the character. So Here's what the publisher has written about Alice Hoffman, The Invisible Hour, probably the biggest book of fall for many of us dark readers. One brilliant June day when Mia Jacob can no longer see a way to survive, so trigger warning, she's thinking of suicide, but the power of words saves her. The Scarlet Letter was written almost 200 years earlier, but it seems to tell the story of Mia's mother, Ivy, and their life inside the community with a capital C. It's an oppressive cult in western Massachusetts where contact with the outside world is forbidden and books are considered evil. But how could this be? How could Nathaniel Hawthorne have so perfectly captured the pain and loss that Mia carries inside her? Through a journey of heartbreak, love, and time, Mia must abandon the rules she was raised with at the community. As she does, she realizes that reading can transport you to other worlds or bring them to you, and that readers and writers affect each other in mysterious ways. And she learns, here's where it gets interesting, that time is more fluid than she can imagine, and love is stronger than any chains that bind you. So as a girl, Mia fell in love with a book, and as a young woman, she falls in love with a brilliant writer as she makes her way back in time. But what if Nathaniel Hawthorne never wrote The Scarlet Letter? And what if Mia Jacob never found it on the day she planned to die?
Wow.
Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote, "A single dream is more powerful than 1,000 realities." This is the story of one woman's dream. For a little while, it came true. The publisher is Atria Books. This is The Invisible Hour, a novel. It's by Alice Hoffman. It comes out in 2 weeks, August 15, and I cannot wait to start reading it. And I would suggest this fall, if enough of you are interested, I would love to do a book club and read and talk about this together online on our Instagram, our Facebook, and YouTube.
That would be
Let's
really
think
cool.
about it. Drop us a comment, you guys, on Instagram or Facebook if this sounds like a good idea after you listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I love that. Another big book that's coming out this month is Looking Glass Sound. It comes out August 8th. This is by Catriona Ward. She's done a couple of things. The most notable that I'm familiar with is the Little Eve book, and I think you picked that one up. And then Sundial was another one.
Yeah.
So this one is about, in a cottage overlooking the windswept Maine coast, Wilder Harlow has begun the last book he will ever write. It is the story about the sun-drenched summer days of his youth in Whistler Bay and the blood-stained path of the killer that stalked his small vacation town.
Uh-oh.
About the terrible secret he and his companions, Nat and Harper, discovered entombed in the coves off the bay, and how the pact they swore that day echoed down the decades, forever shaping their lives. But the more Wilder writes, the less he trusts himself and his memory. He starts to see things that can't be real, notes hidden in the cabin from an old friend now dead, a woman with dark hair drowning in the icy waters below, calling for help. Entire chapters he doesn't recall typing appearing overnight. Who or what is haunting Wilder?
Was he drunk? Sorry.
Very good drunk, too. Like, he's very productive. He's no longer able to trust his own eyes. Wilder begins to fear that this will not only be his last book, but the last thing he ever does. So, this is The Looking Glass Sound. This is by Catriona Ward.
My next book is Long Past Midnight. It's coming out in paperback August 22. The author is Jonathan Maberry, or Maberry. I think it's Maberry. He has won the Bram Stoker Award 5 times.
Wow.
He also wrote the Pine Deep trilogy. So this book features 4 children who are exploring an abandoned house that's supposed to be haunted, as you do. And as you do, they discover something far more terrifying than any ghost. There's been a rash of fatal accidents in the town of Pine Deep, and that's kept a cemetery worker busier than ever, because in this town, the dead won't stay buried. But this is not a comedy, so I need to be very serious when I'm reading this. Ex-cop Joe Ledger searches for a missing witness in the spookiest town in America, but he finds there's no witness protection program against the forces of evil. The publisher is the very respectable Kensington Books. It's Long Past Midnight by Jonathan Maberry, and it definitely sounds like it is not going to be boring.
No. My next book is Masters of Death. This is by Olivie Blake, who also did the Atlas 6. I'm shocked that she's writing this novel before finishing her Atlas 6 trilogy, but that's okay. You need a break sometimes. This one comes out August 8th. So this is a story about vampires, ghosts, and death. So I'm excited. Viola Merrick is a struggling real estate agent and a vampire. But her biggest problem currently is that the house she needs to sell is haunted. The ghost haunting the mansion has been murdered, and until he can solve the mystery of how he died, he refuses to move on.
That's fair.
Yes, I feel that. Can he leave the mansion is a good question, because, he has to find the person. So Fox Demora is a medium, and though he is almost most definitely a shameless fraud, he isn't entirely without his uses, seeing as he's actually a godson of death. When Viola seeks out Fox to help her with the ghost infestation, he becomes inextricably involved in a quest that neither he nor Vi expects or wants. But with the help of an unruly poltergeist, a demonic personal trainer, a sharp-voiced angel, a love-stricken reaper, and a few mindfulness-practicing creatures, Vi and Fox soon discover the difference between a mysterious lost love and an annoying dead body isn't nearly as distinct as they thought. So this is published by Tor Books. I might pick it up. I did like the Atlas 6. That was one of the hyped-up books that I was kind of shocked. I was like, okay, this is enjoyable. So this is Masters of Death by Olivie Blake.
Well, how cheerful.
Yes.
My next book is The Midnight Kingdom. It's part 2 in the Dark Gods series by Tara Sim. The first book was called, City of Dusk. Beautiful cover. So the Dark Gods 2-book series. The next one is Midnight Kingdom. It is a glorious tapestry of magic and murderous gods. A cataclysmic battle to save the city of Nexus has left the 4 noble heirs scattered across the realms. So this is a dark fantasy. Tasia, the shadow-wielding rebel of House Lastrider, and Nicholas, the reluctant soldier of House Seer, have been cast into Noctus, the realm of eternal night. But they are not alone. The dangerous and unpredictable god of light has traveled with them, and he will do anything in his power to destroy Noctus in his bid for cosmic control. So there's a bunch more, but I think you get the drift. There's a peacekeeping necromancer, a stubborn elementalist. All are encountering old friends and new enemies as they attempt to restore the balance of the universe. The publisher is Orbit, a sci-fi publisher. That's The Midnight Kingdom by Tara Sim.
Interesting. All right, my next book is another widely anticipated novel by Kiersten White. It is Mr. Magic. 30 years after a tragic accident shut down production of the classic children's program, Mr. Magic, the 5 surviving cast members have done their best to move on. But just as generations of cultishly devoted fans still cling to the lessons they learned from the show, the cast, known as the, quote, circle of friends, have spent their lives searching for the happiness they felt while they were on it. The friendship, the feeling of belonging, and the protection of Mr. Magic. But with no surviving video of the show, no evidence of who directed or produced it, and no records of who or what the beloved host actually was, memories are all the former circle of friends has. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm just trying to follow.
Yes, it's a lot. So then a twist of fate brings the castmates back together at the remote desert filming compound that feels like it's been waiting for them all this time. Even though they haven't seen each other for years, they understand one another better than anyone has since. After all, they're the only ones who hold the secret of that circle, the mystery of the magic man in his infinitely black cape, and maybe the answers to what really happened on that deadly last day. But as the circle of friends reclaim parts of their past, they begin to wonder, Are they here by choice, or have they been lured into a trap? Because magic never forgets the taste of your friendship.
Oh.
Yes, this sounds surreal. I'm not the first book that I read of Kiersten White's did not hit me very well, so I might have to put this lower on my TBR. But if I see some good stuff about it, I might raise it up. But this is Mr. Magic by Kiersten White, and it comes out August 8th.
My next book is a sequel. It's Out of the Dawn by PC Cast. It's the sequel to Into the Mist, which came out last summer. And I actually have that book sitting next to me because it's next on my TBR for tonight.
Ooh, awesome.
So Out of the Dawn, the sequel, comes out August 8th. And it's described as practical magic meets Station 11. Hello! It's a post-apocalyptic thriller about the power of women. So Mercury Rhodes and her world were utterly changed when the bombs fell, releasing the green mist. While it proved deadly to all the men who breathed it in, it gave new life to the women that breathed it in. The green mist provided each member of her newfound family an ability. Stella has heightened intuition, Imani has earthly connection, Karen has a bond with spirit with a capital S, and Gemma has a healing ability. That's the one I would want.
Yes.
Although Mercury now has incredible physical strength, she doesn't know if she'll be strong enough for what comes next, especially after the death of Ford, their companion through the aftermath of the mist. The group is creating a small community in the John Day Fossil Preserve near the Painted Hills in Oregon. So, sometimes I feel like authors go on vacation and they're in a new area and they get inspired to go home and set something there, like possibly Stephanie Meyer's with Forks, Washington. And
Yes.
Anyway, the women are starting over, rebuilding a better world, but Mercury knows it won't be that simple because she knows that someone or something is hunting them. Something that wants to rule the ruins of the world, and something who sees Mercury as a threat that must be eliminated. So this is kind of an action-packed post-apocalyptic thriller. The publisher is Crooked Lane Books that usually does kind of dark mysteries. It's Out of the Dawn by PC Cast.
Wow. Okay, my next book is called Riding the Nightmare. This comes out August 22nd. It is by Lisa Tuttle, and Neil Gaiman does the introduction. So it's it's an anthology. There's a whole bunch of short stories in here, which, again, some of my favorite things to read because it's so busy lately. So here's a few little blurbs about each of not all of the stories, but some of them. There's a story called Bits and Pieces, where a woman is surprised to find her lover has left behind his foot in her bed. Yep.
Is it the same guy that the evil hand came from?
I knew this was going to come back. That handbook is never going to die.
Sorry.
No, it's hilarious.
Well, why do you think it's called a handbook? Sorry.
Oh, God. No, the dad jokes are happening. Okay, so we have another story called The Wound, which tells of a platonic friendship between two male coworkers that begins to turn into something very different when one of them notices he has started to bleed. We have the protagonist of the, quote, Hungry Hotel is contacted years later by an old one-night stand and goes to meet him at a strange hotel with unforeseen consequences. These and 9 other weird and frightening tales are showcasing Lisa Tuttle's ability to write creepy stories. And she also has, in this particular book, she calls it a rare novella. It's called The Dragon's Bride, which is newly revised and expanded for this particular edition. So if you've been following Lisa Tuttle, this is something that you should definitely put in your collection. But I'm curious about it too, especially since Neil Gaiman did the introduction. She's got to be great. If he's like, yeah, I'm signing off on this. So it's Riding the Nightmare by Lisa Tuttle. I
have to say, some of her stories have been too dark even for me. And I had to stop reading some of them because they were just too much. Ooh. So that's a compliment.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to read it for sure then. I need it to be dark.
My next book is Spin a Black Yarn. It's Novellas by Josh Mallerman of Bird Box fame. It's 5 harrowing novellas of horror and speculative fiction. So one of them is called half the house is haunted. It's a sister insisting to her little brother that half of the house is haunted by a strange presence. But is it the house that's haunted or their childhoods? Then there's a story called Argyle, where a dying man confesses to homicides he never committed. And he reveals long-kept secrets that are far more sinister than murder. What is more sinister than murder? I don't know. And then a tourist takes the ultimate trip to outer space in the Jupiter Drop, but the real journey is into his own dark past. And then Doug and Judy buy the house washer. A trendy married couple buys the latest home gadget only to find themselves trapped by their possessions. No! I don't like this because I'm a shopper. Okay. And then finally, the last one is called Egorov. A wealthy old cretin murders a young man, not knowing that the victim was a triplet. The two surviving brothers stage a savage faux haunting, playing the ghost of their slain brother with the aim of driving the old murderer mad. I'm in.
I love just the different kinds of stories in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of cool things in there.
I wonder if he's hinting like the next season of Black Mirror should be these 5 novellas.
I agree. I don't blame him. Oh.
So that's Spin a Black Yarn by Josh Mallerman. Comes out August 15.
All right. My next book is called Swim Home to the Vanished. It comes out August 22nd. This is by Brendan Shea Basham. And the cover's really cool. It's just a bunch of, it's fish, skeleton fish. So it says here, after the death of his brother, a grief-stricken young man seeks refuge and oblivion in a secluded fishing village dominated by a family of brujas in this haunting debut novel. Ooh, okay. When the river swallowed Kai, Damien's little brother didn't die so much as vanish. As the unbearable loss settles deeper into his bones, Damien, a small-town line cook, walks away from everything he has ever known. Driving as far south as his old truck and his legs allow, he lands in a fishing village beyond the reach of his past, where he hopes he can finally just forget about everything. But the village has grief of its own. The same day that Damien arrives, a young woman from the community's most powerful family is being laid to rest. A stranger in town, Damien is the object of gossip and suspicion, ignored by all except the dead girl's mother, Anna Maria, who offers Damien a room and a job. What a nice lady.
Yeah.
Grateful for her kindness, Damien soon begins to fall under Anna Maria's charismatic spell. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. But how long can he resist the rumors swirling through town suggesting she might have had something to do with her daughter's death? Or deny his strange kinship with one of Anna Maria's surviving daughters, Marta, who knows too well the grief that follows the loss of a sibling, and who is driven by a fierce need for revenge. Swiftly, Damien finds himself caught in a power struggle between the Brujas, a whirlwind battle that threatens to sweep the whole village out to sea. Poor guy just wants a break.
Jeez.
And he's getting into this. Wow. So this is called Swim Home to the Vanished. This is by Brendan Shea Basham.
My next book is called Vampires of El Norte. It's by Isabel Cañas. It comes out August 15. Vampires and vaqueros face off on the Texas-Mexico border in a supernatural western from the author of The Hacienda. Mm-hmm. So Nina is the daughter of a rancher in 1840s Mexico, and she knows a thing or two about monsters. Her home has long been threatened by tensions with Anglo settlers from the north, but something more sinister lurks near the ranch at night. Something that drains men of their blood and leaves them for dead. Ew! Something that once attacked Nina 9 years ago. Ooh. Believing Nina dead, Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since, moving from ranch to ranch working as a vaquero. But no amount of drink can dispel the night terrors of sharp teeth. No woman can erase his childhood sweetheart from his mind. And then, in case there's not enough going on, the United States invades Mexico in 1846. And the two are abruptly brought together on the road to war. Nina is a curandera, a healer striving to prove her worth to her father so he doesn't marry her off to a stranger. That would suck. and Nestor as a member of the auxiliary cavalry of ranchers and vaqueros. So I'm very interested in finding out what happens after the appearance of a nightmare made flesh. Ah! Wow. That's Vampires of El Norte, comes out August 15.
I've heard really great things about her previous book, and her previous book also had a lot going on, so hopefully it just all flows. All right, my next and final book for me today is technically just really a thriller. It's not quite horrifying, but if you're looking for something similar to like The Martian or 127 Hours, sometimes those real life experiences are a little more terrifying than, paranormal. So this is called Whale Fall. This is by Danielle Kraus, and it's published by MTV Books. I've seen a lot of MTV Books lately. Wow. Yeah. So this is about a guy. His name is Jay Gardiner, and he's given himself a fool's errand to find the remains of his deceased father in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Monastery Beach. Yeah, why would you do that?
Does he have a submarine or what's going on?
I don't know. In the cover, it looks like he's diving, so I hope he's not just running around with scuba gear. Oh, God. So he knows it's a long shot. Well, that's good. But Jay feels it's the only way for him to lift the weight of guilt he has carried since his dad's death by suicide the previous year. The dive begins well enough, but the sudden appearance of a giant squid puts Jay in very real jeopardy, made infinitely worse by the arrival of a sperm whale looking to feed. Suddenly, Jay is caught in the squid's tentacles and drawn into the whale's mouth, where he is pulled into the first of its 4 stomachs.
Is his name Jonah? Jesus.
I know. Sorry. This is very, it's not quite a metaphor. It's like literal almost. He quickly realizes that he only has 1 hour left before his oxygen tanks run out, 1 hour to defeat his demons and escape the belly of a whale. So it's supposed to be suspenseful and cinematic. It is a thriller, and it's talking about all, grieving and stuff like that. So it does have a hint of darkness in it, even though, being eaten by a sperm whale after being tackled by a squid is unlikely. This is called Whale Fall. This is by Danielle Kraus.
Is it a really short book? Because if he only has an hour.
Oh, right?
I don't know.
It's 336 pages. So
okay. Yeah. I guess we go minute by minute, and each minute is a chapter. I don't know.
I'm breathing heavily.
My final book today has tentacles on the cover in case we didn't have enough ocean horror. It is Wild Spaces by S.L. Coney, and it's published by Tor.com. It is Lovecraftian horror, but it tells a terrible truth in an achingly beautiful way, says Alma Katsu, author of The Fervor. So there's an 11-year-old boy, and he's living an idyllic childhood exploring remote coastal plains and wetlands of South Carolina alongside his parents and his dog, whose name is stupid because it's Teach.
No.
But when the boy's eerie and estranged grandfather shows up one day with no warning, cracks begin to form as hidden secrets resurface that his parents refuse to explain. The longer his grandfather outstays his welcome, and the greater the tension between the adults grows, the more the boy feels something within him changing physically into something his grandfather welcomes and his mother fears. Something abyssal, something monstrous.
Oh.
That's Wild Spaces by S.L. Coney, and I think I'm not very curious about that one, and I won't pick it up, but no offense. I wanted to let you guys know about it. And Katie, why don't you finish us up by begging for reviews and ratings?
Absolutely. So that does finish up our list of adult fiction books that we have found in August of 2023. Stay tuned. If we do find more, we'll probably publish later as well. And we do publish every Wednesday and Friday. Please make sure to join us on our socials. That's at Dark Side of the Library. We have Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and of course our Amazon Live shopping channel. You'll see our faces a lot more over there as Halloween is approaching. So please join us there if you do like just the Halloween aesthetic. Please tell your friends, family, loved ones about Dark Side of the Library. It really, really helps us out. And check out our show notes if there is a book here that is of interest to you. Thanks so much. Have a creeptastic rest of your week.